the old way addiction expressed itself, and up until like the last 100 years, was religion. Like people who have this genetic predisposition seem really turned on by religion. So the question you had in addiction treatment was, well, if you had no family history of addiction or alcoholism, do you have a family history of over religiosity, which is a term that's never used anymore?
Welcome to the show. Upper left-hand corner, Bob Forrest from DNA for Addiction. Also, Dr. Joe DeSanto, addiction physician. And you guys all know Taylor Self, the fittest man alive. Kill Taylor, giving away $3,000 if you can beat Taylor this Saturday at 8 a.m. Okay. So Taylor took the test. Taylor, how did you take the test? Is that a suppository swab, or where do you?
I stuck it up my butt as far as it would go.
I think it's gonna be a tough sale.
Was it gut? Was it? I can't remember even now. It was so long ago. It was a cheek swab, right?
Yeah.
And you swabbed yourself and you sent it away, and then where does it go from there?
Bryson assisted me with the swab.
Very nice of Bryson. And then where does it go from there? Either the doctor or Bob, where after he sends it in, where does it go? What happens to the swab?
Well, it goes to Orange County to our lab in Orange County, I believe.
And then the test is to test what?
The doctor can explain, because there's a technical term and then there's the more human term. So let's go with the technical term first.
Okay. Oh, I think Dr. Joe lost his audio.
Sorry. How's my audio's good? Yeah.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
So, Bob, did you say where the test goes? It goes to the North Pole.
Yeah. Santa decides what he's going to send you for Christmas based on your test.
But see, the problem of addiction and the problem of so much of this genetic testing is there's the technical medical side of it, and then there's the human side of it. And my job has always been to kind of explain the human side of it. But let's get the technical side of it. So Dr. Joe, go ahead and explain the technical genetic DNA testing.
Okay, so you're born with a set of chromosomes, a couple of sets of chromosomes. You then how they're expressed is another story. So you're born with your genes, and then you go through life with a set of events that change how those genes are expressed. In this test, we're checking for certain SNPs of certain genes that are known to express mutations. And you can have one or two of the pairs of chromosomes of genes that can be abnormal, and depending on how they show themselves in your genetic profile, can put you at risk for certain addictions, and it can happen at different levels. So we can get into that later, but that's basically what the test checks for, is the abnormalities in these sets of genes that can set us up for future problems.
And let's be clear, throughout history, the people who had these abnormalities, Alexander the Great, Abraham Lincoln, Jimi Hendrix, it's not something to be ashamed of. It's something to be aware of so that you don't self-destruct. You know what I mean? And that's what knowledge is power, and try to figure out, why do I have this drive for searching? Dr. Joe and I were talking the other day about searching for the answer. This seems to be a human component of people with these abnormalities. Searching, pushing, wanting to know, right?
Yeah, I'm looking for the urgency gene.
There you go.
There's judgment genes, and then there's urgency genes, and when you get them both screwed up, then there's poor insight. The different ways to look at life, and if you don't learn from your lessons and you continue to keep looking behind the curtain to see, there's a lot of curtains in life, and if you pick the wrong curtain, as we know, you and I, Bob, too, I have my own history as well, and I've done genetic profiles. And when I first got sober, I'm sober almost 13 years now. When I first got sober, I went to Amen clinics, and I had my PGX checked, which was the test back in the day, which checked for 7 mutations. This test is over 10. I believe even 20 now we're working on, but and almost all of them were screwed up. Almost all of them led me to like this and like that. Whereas my sister, same, you know, we're not twins, obviously, but the genetic profile was completely different. And she lived a normie life, which was not full of addiction and seeking what was on the other side. She stayed in New York. I moved to California. You know, you could see that there were certain steps in life that led me to being at risk for an addiction, Bob. And I don't know if you can, if you've taken the test and can speak to that as well.
The thing that's interesting is, if you, like, America has 100% exposure rate, the only country in the world, 100%. By the age of 21, you will be exposed to some mind-altering substance in America. 100% exposure rate, only country in the world, because you'll get it from a doctor, or you'll get it from a dentist, or you'll get it from your buddy at school on Stoner Bridge, like I did.
Well, yeah, look, Bob, this guy says, I think Bob sold me acid. I could be wrong, but I wouldn't forget.
Get him. I got into acid for a couple of years. I thought it was the magic potion, but then I had a couple bad experiences. But
100% exposure by the age of 21. Hey, it's so easy to believe.
Well, look at us, right?
Yeah.
We're the center of the universe of I think of the abnormal gene. Who came here? You know, people seeking. So you got hundreds of years of history of crazy people coming to the end of the earth, right? But if you were one of those people that got into straight edge, minor threat or whatever, never expose yourself to drugs, you're going to find something else. And CrossFit is a good thing to find. It's a positive way of expressing that urgency, that you know what I mean? Music is a way of doing that. Me and Flea did music, and that was like a way to express those abnormalities that you feel inside. And understand that childhood trauma is the second component. I mean, you can have it severe, moderate, light childhood trauma, and it'll affect these genes in some way or another, right? You have severe sexual violence and abuse in childhood. That's going to affect you in profound ways. But if you have neglect, you know, latchkey kids, depending on your abnormalities, that's a really lonely place. I loved being a latchkey kid because that meant I could do whatever the fuck I wanted as soon as I got home from school, right? But other kids were scared and didn't like it and just sat at home waiting for their mommy to come home from work, right? So everybody has different reactions to the environment based on their genetics, based on their childhood. And so let's see what Taylor's is. I think I already know, but I think you'll be surprised.
Bob would have been an amazing wingman back in the day. Okay. There was one more important question in here. Pat Lang, will the test work on children if you're trying to forecast their future?
Yes,
or is this only for developed adults?
No, this is why we developed the test, really, so that parents could know how to parent somebody who has this genetic mutation, this genetic consistency that leads down all different pathways. Right. So if you have a kid, we want you to test your kids. I'm going to test my kids. So if they play football and if they get injured, you got to tell that doctor in the emergency room, my kid doesn't need to take anything that's not absolutely necessary. You have to be so clear as a parent in an emergency room situation. You know what I mean? That you don't want your kid exposed to drugs. The way I was exposed to drugs as a kid, I had a lot of crazy stuff going on in childhood. My family was pretty affluent. So I was seeing a psychiatrist when I was 8 years old.
Wow.
And they diagnosed me. They didn't have the fancy terms that they have now, bipolar disorder, all ADHD. I was diagnosed as gravely emotionally disturbed. That was an actual diagnosis in like 1969. So I was given a medication that anytime I acted hyperactive, my mom would give me a spoonful of cherry flavored phenobarbital. That was what they gave hyperactive kids.
They treated hyperactivity with phenobarbital.
Phenobarbital.
And what is that? What is that? Some sort of
It's
sedative?
a sedative hypnotic. Yeah. What
It's
is
just
it, Dr.
something-
Joe? What's it categorized as? Phenobarbital.
No, it's a sedative, and we use it as an anti-epileptic.
Yeah, well, I was on the verge of epilepsy because I was so hyperactive.
Right, exactly, and we use it to, I use it for detox all the time. If somebody comes
Yeah.
in and needs a benzodiazepine detox, Phenobar is my go-to drug.
Right.
But I can't imagine using it on a child. Like, how sedated were you? Were you just walking?
I would go and watch TV. I just remember that consistently. I'd have to go to the kitchen. My mom would say, "Bobby, come here," and then I'd take a little spoonful, and then I would just go in the living room and watch TV for hours. And they thought, "What a cure! Look at him. He's not breaking things. He's calm. He's wonderful. This is a miracle drug."
Anybody can order this test if they want from this website. It's our beloved Sarah Cox's company. She said she lowered the price today during the show to $199. So anyone who wants to try it. Taylor, how old were you the first time you did drugs?
Oh, I was in the 6th grade the first time I smoked weed. And I think I was like maybe 11, and then I was like maybe 5 or 6 when the first time I drank.
Wow.
Alcohol, 5 or 6 alcohol, and
Alcohol,
then moved to weed. Wow, you knew how to smoke. Wow, you know how to smoke.
Did you have an older brother that exposed you to?
It was an older friend that exposed me to weed, and it was my father that exposed me to alcohol. But the weed was like, I remember I smoked a bunch of cigarettes before he would let me smoke weed. He's like, "Yeah, I have to make sure that you know how to actually smoke before I'm going to waste any weed on you."
I love that era.
He didn't really know how to roll a blunt anyways, but I didn't get high.
Now they just sell it on the internet. They don't care what you do with it. But back in the day where you were, kind of taught by the elders how to do things. I just have a soft spot for that. But were you an athlete in 6th grade? Were you showing athletic ability in even 6th grade?
I definitely played sports. Yeah, I wouldn't say I was I just always cared to fuck off more than I cared to try really hard in sports.
You like
Joe's,
the kid? You like the kid in Bad News Bears?
Joe, is there any way to turn on your mic, Joe? Some people are saying your audio is a little bit lower than everyone else's, and I think that's accurate. It's a little bit muffled.
Sorry about that.
No,
so
it's
were
okay.
you the Bad News Bears?
I was using my headphones before, and they kept cutting out. So yeah, I can. It alters the mic. Unfortunately, it does change the input.
Okay,
I'll work on that while you guys are talking.
Okay. Well, I have a question for you. And I think this is an important question from Homegrown Relief. Respectfully, shouldn't all of us be highly skeptical of all the pharmaceutical doctors are so quickly to prescribe, knowing the system is corrupt? Yeah. In the 7th grade, I told the doctor my ankle hurt. He told my mom I was making it up. 2 weeks later, I'm like, "Mom, my ankle still hurts." They took me to the doctor. They gave me crutches and a bottle of Vicodin. Right. And for 3 weeks, I thought I was the coolest kid in the 7th grade. I couldn't believe how great Vicodin felt.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
I mean, we're assuming the system is corrupt. Most doctors that I know, at least, and especially the sober doctors, I mean, we're well aware. But most doctors aren't sober. Most doctors, there's a lot of stigma attached to it. They behave primarily based on punitive results. So if they're going to get punished by prescribing these, what we've done over the years is gotten doctors to prescribe less and less. But I'm still surprised at how prescriptions just fly off out of emergency rooms for more than 3 days, which is the recommendation: 3 days of narcotics if you're going to prescribe, and if only then. And most people don't need chronic narcotics. So after the 3 days, doctors should definitely be a little bit more suspicious about drug seeking and potential risk. And that's when you would, introduce certain questions that would delve down into what the future risk of becoming an opiate addict is.
This is a touchy area right now after what's happened in the healthcare system right now. But I can tell you one of the main problems of healthcare in general, I own a rehab. One of the main problems is that people treat healthcare like it's a hotel, meaning Yelp reviews. Mm-hmm. Doctors are judged by their patient satisfaction record. If you don't give an addict in an emergency room narcotics, they're gonna go, online and doctors' pay scales, their 3% or 5% pay increases when you work for a big system like Kaiser is based on patient satisfaction ratings. This is bullshit to treat healthcare like a hotel or like, like a restaurant. It's bullshit.
I agree.
But
I don't work in hospitals.
It's Yelp reviews. You pick your psychiatrist based on a Yelp review. That's what we've become. That's another perversion of the internet and how it's affected our daily lives. That doctors have the choice. If some addict's in an emergency room throwing a fit and cussing everybody out and seeking drugs, you can just write him a script for 3 days of opiates and get him off, and he'll give you 5 stars, and then you just get him out of your room. And I'm telling you, this happens constantly. Back 15 years. Yeah, what's up? No.
You cannot smoke weed in the house. Go outside.
Yeah, you gotta go outside. I can smell it. No, but it really is something. And I know that we're looking to the future of what healthcare looks like in America. I would say this doctors are like, think about it. You got a school loan for $250,000. You just start as an emergency room. You're seeing 40 patients a day making no money. And you're going to get fucking, destroyed by patient satisfaction polls. I know many psychiatrists have chosen to work for the state in the prison system over the public, patient satisfaction scales. I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
Taylor, did you go to rehab?
Yeah.
How old were you when that happened?
I was 16. I was in rehab for 4 months.
Did you go voluntarily?
I did. My mom tried to put me in like 2 or 3 times before that. I actually went to a psych ward maybe 7 or 8 months before that, and was only in there for. I was in there for less than 24 hours, which is very rare. I think
you weren't crazy enough. You weren't crazy enough?
No, he charmed them. I used to run.
Yeah, he was
a good talker. He was like, as soon as he got there, he was like, "This is a big mistake. I gotta start charming everybody."
Hey, fuck you! It was a mistake, man.
Okay, so you go for 4 months, Taylor, and did it work? Did you like it? Is it turning point in your life?
At that point, I had kind of what is coined the God moment of like, holy shit, I need help, and I had that realization, and I asked to go. But then when I was there, I don't know if you guys are aware of Cairn, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Cairn Foundation.
Yes. Yeah. So I went there, and they have 2 wards, maybe, I don't know what you would call them, or sections for young adult men. They have like a primary care, which is 30 days, and they have extended care, which is an additional 90 days. Yeah. And you're in there for primary care, and you're like, I'm just here for 30 days. That's all I need. And probably 9 times out of 10, you're recommended to go by the counselor.
What was your drug of choice? That's what determined it.
It was marijuana.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but they definitely recommended. And while you're there for 30 days, and I drank and marijuana, and then they were like, all the guys in extended care are like, yeah, we'll see you in a couple weeks, buddy. And you're like, no, fuck that. I don't need it. I'm out of here in a month. And then you're not.
And then did you come out sober?
Yeah. I was also fortunate. So drinking and marijuana for me, I had like a massive car accident that kind of spurned the last 3 months of my use, where it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I was coming to the realization that I was just going to die or end up in jail. But I had like a blackout DUI accident. And then I remember waking up in the hospital, and my mom, they took me to the hospital after the cops arrested me. And then, I remember waking up and my mom was next to me crying.
Wait. I got to stop you right there, Taylor. So Dr. Drew used to do this all the time. So you just told us it was your choice to go to rehab. Now you're saying you got arrested, you got in a car accident.
Yeah.
I didn't go until 3 months later. So I had all these consequences, and I just remember. Well, I mean, the thing that I remember most specifically was that I woke up in the hospital, and my mom was next to me crying. I was like, "Wow, I am never going to do that again." And then literally the next day, I'm doing it.
Did it? Right. Well, why wouldn't you? You just got in a car accident. You need a little something.
Exactly.
What were you going to say, Dr. DeSanto?
Just a couple of questions. When you presented after the blackout, you weren't having psychosis, you weren't having anything, and the admission to the wards was voluntary, right?
It was voluntary, yeah. So at that point, it was at least 3 months later. I think it was April 21st when I went to rehab. It was January when I had that accident.
Any other mind alterings that could have triggered these genes that might have been turned on. So I'm looking at additive things over life. So you've got your setup, and then you've got your drugs of choice. And I don't know what kind of weed you were smoking, but I hear the weed these days is, well, I see it. It's
crazy.
Inducing. It's what
I don't think I ever had I don't know that I ever had a psychosis. I mean, for like 2 years of my life, I was smoking almost like an eighth of weed a day and then drinking whenever I could get my hands on it. So 2 or 3 times a week. It was just way easier for me to get weed than it was alcohol. I had to get somebody who's 21 to go and buy it for me for weed. I just fucking buy it illegally from my friend's older brother.
Well, there's drug-induced crazy. The addict population is crazy. The things, the choices they're making, decisions they're making, and the way they live their lives is crazy. But when you get in a lockdown unit with truly schizophrenic and psychotic people, you realize you're a different kind of crazy.
Right.
I saw it repeatedly because part of my job was to go to the locked unit after the weekend and assess people, whether they're in there because they're addicts and alcoholics or whether they're in there because of mental health issues. And pretty much from the moment I talked to them, I could know, you just see it. Like, yeah, I was drunk and I tried to kill myself, and then my girlfriend called the police, and then I ended up here. Well, that version of crazy is fueled by drugs and alcohol, right? And that's what you probably were. You ended up in there, you're thinking you're crazy, and then you're around people when they take your shoelaces off, they take your shoelaces away and stuff like that.
And they did that in the psych ward. My dad had passed away right before, and so everyone was really worried that I was suicidal. My mom wasn't like super aware that I was just getting fucked up every day. She was like, "Oh God, my son's trying to, he's depressed. He wants to kill himself." And
so that's what you were saying, Dr. DeSanto. That's what you were looking for, right? You're looking for some event, and he just said his dad passed away. That's the one, right?
A series of sentinel events, we call them. Unfortunate events, but to look at that genetic predisposition and to know that, okay, he's gotten this much, this much of his ass smacked during his life up to this point. We need to, take it easy. You probably don't want to bungee jump. You probably don't want to, or maybe you do. Maybe you need that. Maybe and as we learn more and more about the genetic abnormalities that lead somebody to addiction, you can prescribe a lifestyle and a nutrition. See, lifestyle and nutrition, I'm sorry, that's everything now. Especially when our food is poisoned, and we don't know, and we really don't know what turns genes on and what doesn't, and the insidious nature of I don't know if we want to get into that here, but and physicians don't know, and I believe this is on purpose. We're not taught nutrition, and it's such an easy thing to teach. And CrossFit, I mean, that's taking exercise to an extreme, and I tried to get addicted to CrossFit. I think I just I just don't have the tire flipping gene.
Whitney Davis, when I worked in a psych hospital 10 years ago, it was the same damn way. It was all about the patient satisfaction rather than getting them better. It was fucking stupid. I remember the day it changed. It used to be when I was a kid, you'd go to Kaiser and they tell you what you want. And then now as an adult, it's what do you want? You can basically just go in there and prescribe your own shit.
There you go. I'm telling you, it's a big problem that's not talked about. Doctors talk about it amongst themselves, right, Joe? Yeah.
Well, I had a close family member go through some psych stuff that we were wondering whether it was substance related or organic psychosis that was turned on prior genetics, which I wish we would have known their profile. But what I got to see was a really broken system. And what she was saying about 10 years ago, it's even worse now. Yeah. There's no, Bob, I wish I had somebody like you to come in and say, this person is psychotic organically, this person is drug induced. Look how much they've improved. And we don't have that now. It's gotten even worse. And I thought Southern California was the bastion of
I'm not
care of
I'm not a doctor, and everybody calls me a doctor. I just done it so long. You can look in people's eyes, and being an addict that's kind of a known addict, and you look at me and go, that guy knows what's up when it comes to drugs. I think that connection, or that ability to attach with addicts, it's undeniable when I meet them, right? So there's just a twinkle in their eye, Joe. I don't know what it is. It might be just a knowing. My central nervous system knows your central nervous system. And then when I can't connect and the person is just wandering off and just completely dissociative, I just know, yeah, this person should probably stay here and go to the main unit, which is the psych unit.
For me, there was a group of us who got too stoned and you didn't want to go to the liquor store and buy a bag of chips because you didn't want to make eye contact. But there was always that one friend that all of a sudden was talking in tongues and his eyes turned black like flying saucers.
There you go.
And you're like, all right, that dude should not be smoking weed. Jan Clark, just joining. Has Taylor sucked a dick for crack?
I came really close once.
How close?
inches.
Okay.
I've compromised my morals for drugs. I'll say that.
I've also compromised your morals.
I want to, because Bob's on limited time, I want to be very clear about who this test is for. So we know it's not a bad idea, maybe even a good idea for kids to take it, so that if your kid ever needs surgery, or if your kid is like highly predisposed, you're like, okay, I need to double down on keeping this kid busy in sports, allow him to build a strong self-identity. And if he ever goes to the dentist, he's not getting drugs or things. Who are some other people? What are some strong cases for getting this done?
I think the people who are trying to decide whether they have mental health issues right now, we've coupled everyone together. Almost every addict in treatment has a comorbidity of psych. And then almost every psych patient in psychiatric hospitals, I worked at Las Encinas Hospital in Pasadena for years, almost every, what I would say, primary psych person has a second comorbidity of addiction. And so I talked to a schizophrenic guy. Here's an interesting thing. I became very attached to him. He's an addict, a crack addict. And I asked him one time, when you're hearing these voices, is it like the voice inside your head that tells you, you're a bad person or whatever, the critic that everyone has in their head? He goes, no, Bob, it's like I'm by myself and I hear you talking and I turn and you're not there. Mm-hmm. And I said, that's true psych. That's not drug induced. That's, this is when he's sober, he would have these experiences if he didn't take his Depakote and Neurontin, I think, or these certain drugs that kept those voices at a minimum, right? So if you want to know, if you have psych issues and you want to know, because here's another interesting thing. All psych patients want to be considered addicts and all addicts want to be considered psych patients. We always want the opposite of what we're being diagnosed. I don't know why it is.
Oh, shame, guilt, and avoidance, sublimation. I mean, it's just, I'm not a junkie. Oh, I'm not crazy. I mean, I'm a crazy junkie.
addicts long to be diagnosed like with psychiatric illness so they don't have to face their addiction. And truly psychiatrically ill people are searching for an answer because it's frightening to have schizophrenia or schizoid, or it's frightening to have paranoia, bipolar, manic, so much that you're paranoid. And so they're looking for answers and they think, oh, I'm just a drug addict, I'll go to AA. And that's that person that you saw when you smoke pot and they just have that far away look in their eye. That's mental illness. That's organic. So I think people who are trying to figure themselves out would be interested in this test. But mostly parents for their children. I noticed my son just turned 14. And I noticed he was by my side every day for 13 and a half years. And now I never see him. I don't know where he is now. I don't know what the hell is going on. At a certain point in the pruning process, right, Dr. Joe, the brain starts to prune and seek out its own sense of self. So to a certain point, children are just extensions of their parents' belief systems and value systems and whatever. And in teenage years, they start to say, hey, wait a minute, that's bullshit. And they start to form their own ideas of their own sense of self. And my son's going through that right now. I would say this is a critical time to get that test. You know what I mean?
Go ahead, Dr.
Says you've got your children until 5 years old, and then after that, the herd raises them. So you better make them very likable. You better make them integratable. And, you know, I would say most trauma that leads to addiction and sets off mental illness in your late adolescence and early adulthood comes from the data has been showing this between 6 months and 2 years. So the consistency of care, it's the lovingness, it's consistency, it's being there on a regular basis and an expectant basis that a baby can rely on, you know, that this is soothing and it's going to happen on a regular basis and I can expect this. And then when I progress in life, if with that expectancy, even if you don't get it, you know that it could come anytime. Now neglect and neglect has been neglected. For lack of a better term, as far as its importance in trauma. I don't know if any of you can speak to that, but I've seen the trauma of neglect because you can't put your finger on it. And it's hard to go back in psychotherapy and say, was I neglected? Unless there's a parent that's saying, yeah, I didn't attach to you well. Or
you're basically saying it's something that didn't happen that you needed, and that's harder to pinpoint.
Well, I'll
it's
give
not
you an
something that
example.
happened to you, it's something that didn't happen to you.
I'll give you an example of neglect. For one thing, our society has become so overly sensitive and feelings oriented. You can't criticize anything. So I have a 4-year-old that's going to start going to preschool, right? We went and interviewed at a couple of preschools. We went to this one, and there's like 17 babies sleeping in cribs at a preschool. It's like you know, and I thought, why the fuck did those people have children? They're just sitting with a bunch of strange, with a bunch of strangers just sleeping in a anonymous crib at a fucking daycare because you got to go to work. Maybe you should figure out a different way to live. Like, but you can't criticize anybody in our society, right? Because now I'm blaming them. All I'm saying is don't be surprised if your kid ends up a drug addict because you left him at daycare from the time he was 3 months old. Don't be surprised. You know what I mean?
Jessica Pearson, I'm 11 years sober. Just to clarify, recovered addict, but can really relate to patients who struggle. The mental illness component makes it so complex and not addressed well in the hospital system. Double whammy.
Right. That's it.
You're crazy and you're addicted to drugs. Taylor, did you think, do you think we're about to look at the test that you took from DNA for addiction. And the test is, I think the simpleton kindergarten description of the test is it will tell you if you're predisposed to addiction. Oh, do you think that you are predisposed to addiction?
I would assume so, because I feel like in my life, I have about as much urgency as Dr. Joe was saying. I feel like I'm very urgent about a lot of things. I get addicted to things very easily. I'm kind of an all or nothing type of person. So I would be surprised if it didn't show positive for most of those genetic markers.
Yeah.
All right. Shall I pull anything up, or do you want to talk about what you saw in the test, Dr. DeSanto?
No, pop it up, and we can go.
Oh, okay. Okay. Let me see if I know what I'm doing here. This is going to be advanced for me. Share the entire
there's 10 markers it will show, I think. There it is.
Okay, and I can make any of this bigger if you need to see it better, Dr. DeSanto.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
So he's moderate. He's moderate.
He's moderate. He's low end of moderate. Mm-hmm.
And so can you tell us?
So imagine, Taylor, what it would have been like living profoundly genetically predisposed.
What are these things on the left? Target 1 through 15.
These are certain markers for receptors. So genetics that code for certain enzymes that make neurotransmitters or aid in the assistance of neurotransmitters, or the actual receptor themselves. So we have receptor marker 1, and you've got the abnormalities that are showing next to it, the G and the A. These are These are amino acid. God, this is talk about.
It's very consistent. It's very consistent.
It is very consistent.
Does this mean he'll never be a CrossFit Games champion? He doesn't have enough addiction in him?
It might mean that.
Hey, can you point to anyone and be like, oh, you got a 2 on target 6. That's a strong correlate to masturbation or sexual desire. Number 12. Is there anything like that where you can...
That would be environmental stuff, I believe. That wouldn't be genetics.
Oh,
that would be, yeah, that would be more epic.
That would be the genes expressing themselves.
So what do you say to Taylor now that you know that it's moderate?
Well, I could say one thing. Okay. Like I knew the results, so now I'm just seeing them exactly. But one thing is, it's part of why you were able to turn your life around pretty easily at a very young age is because of the moderate. That's a theory I have about it. I mean, if you think about it, yeah, you had some horrible events, horrific events. Often, you know, myself, I had those events at 15, 17, 20. I just kept going and going. And I think that you're lucky in that this is moderate, because then you had the ability to redirect your life. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can go drink like a normal person now.
No. That's not what I said.
So I give you permission.
See how addicts are? See how they are?
Smoke weed and drink at the same time.
I said this when we had the meetings about this product 2 years ago. I said addicts that are sober, when they see that they're lighter, moderate, genetic predisposed, they're going to go, well, I can drink then, right? You just proved it.
What's the highest you've seen? Have you ever seen like someone peg it?
I've seen a up and down, like some moderate, some severe on the, because I'm not a scientist or a doctor, but his is so consistently moderate.
Yeah.
Like straight down. You see some that are like moderate and then severe in other parts of the genetic code, right, Dr. Joe?
Yeah, I'm looking at the opiate receptor ones. I mean, that I would definitely recommend against future exposure to opiates
and alcohol. I'll add that.
And alcohol and at the same time. And the MTHFR, there's you would benefit from some supplementation as well. I mean, that would help you just generally in life, just make better.
And that is amino acids. Are you saying amino acids help the receptor sites?
Oh, I would take, amino acids. I'm sure you're well versed in taking amino acids, Taylor. I'm sure I'm not, actually, I can't speak to that. I don't know your medical history, but nutritionally, you would benefit from just methylated supplementation like P5P, MTHFR, methyl tetrahydrofolate instead of just folic acid and make sure you're supplementing with a reputable supplement company.
What is the use of niacin? Why is there so much interest over the decades back and forth about niacin and receptor sites in the brain? Why is that?
I don't know. I can't speak to that. I wasn't aware of that data. I know, I know the nutritional benefits of niacin, and I know its protocols with infrared, sauna technology, which really helps a lot of my patients.
Yeah, the Scientologists love that stuff. I think that's part of their protocol.
They use it.
Detox.
I did it. I was so desperate to stop taking drugs. I went to that rehab.
And how was it? How was it?
It was fun. You know what the thing of it is? It's in Hollywood, so and you sit in these hot tubs.
Where was that from?
The Scientology place. It's on Olympic near downtown LA, and you sit in hot tubs 8 hours a day and take niacin. It was pretty good. And I was in there with an actor guy that I admired, so that was fun to sit in a hot tub with an actor you admire. What better way to get off drugs?
Anything else you want to say to Taylor? Is it good? Stay the course. Hey, what you're doing is good. You're lucky you were dealt a good hand.
Yeah, I really want to talk about his first reaction about drinking. I know we don't have all the information, so we're always wondering. And I always question, like, you can live a full and abundant life without alcohol and mind-altering drugs. Why is it that addicts always just like, well, every normal person drinks wine? No, actually that's not true. 50% of the alcohol consumed in America is consumed by 10% of the population.
Wow.
Think about that. That's an Anheuser-Busch study. 50% of all alcohol in America is consumed by 10% of the population. That means the other 50% of alcohol is consumed by the other 90%.
That's crazy.
They're not, there's a lot of people not drinking. Taylor.
What's your guys' take on ayahuasca?
I like it, but it only lasts short term. Like
right, in terms of being like an addictive substance or like a spiritual journey, because I have friends that have taken it, and that's always something that's piqued my interest.
Two of my best friends have taken it, and what happens? Both of them, very different people. One intellectual, college professor. One like a street guy. Right? Mm-hmm. They both took it. Both right out of the box, so obsessed with it. So, Bob, you got to do this. It's the greatest thing. It transformed me. It changed my life. And over time, that passion for it started to subside to the 6-month point. They weren't talking about it at all anymore. So I think there's something about the experience that kind of wears off. Gotcha. Joe, does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a reset of it resets the opiate receptor, I believe. I looked into it when I first wanted to get sober myself, and I wasn't ready to, well, first of all, travel to Central America to do it, number one, or Mexico to do it, because I didn't trust anybody at that time, let alone my parents. Iowa, the short-livedness is why I don't recommend it to my patients. But if you're using it for spiritual journeys, I don't subscribe to that. I really don't. I wish I could. It's becoming in fashion now to try to explore that. I believe it will work for certain types of PTSD, but for addiction, you've got to make changes in here. Right. I mean, I know I don't want to get corny, but you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's got to just be that you got to give up, and then you've got to receive at the same time. And the sacrifices, I look at a sacrifice as giving up something small for something huge. And what I gave up, like living life without alcohol, of course you don't have to drink. I mean, alcohol's sloppy. Alcohol's a sloppy drug. It's you got to more and more of it. You got to carry it around in big batches. And I'm not saying, little pills that you can carry around are better, but I mean, just the affordability of the drug does not determine, whether you should use it or not. But
I think our society has changed. You can't separate the addict from the society they grow up in. You just can't.
Oh God. No,
and
what do you mean by that? I don't understand that. Explain that.
Our society has become very, I don't know. People just aren't friendly.
You mean the peer pressure is too high? You can't hang out with, meaning if you're not a drinker, you can't hang out with drinkers?
No, I'm talking about the meanness in our society. I think that social media has uncorked, right? And Trump gets a lot of the blame for it. It was going on long before Trump.
Yeah.
Not knowing your neighbors, not caring about your neighbors. That this is a new phenomenon in America. And AA is based on that good old-fashioned goodwill. And that good old-fashioned goodwill is evaporating in our society. I'll give you an example. I live in Claremont. Downtown Claremont had 1 million stores. It used to have a TV store. It used to have a record store. It used to have all these stores. Amazon comes along. They can't compete. These are your neighbors you grew up with. These are your neighbors that your kids go to school with. And nobody seems to care that they closed their business and now they work, for some online company, and that downtown Claremont is a ghost town. It's empty stores. This is Amazon did this to our thing, but not caring about your neighbor to save $1 on a product is what is destroying communities. It really is. I believe that.
Yeah, Bob, support local, eat local. Let's get the next generation used to being able to ask for help, knocking on next door, and we do live in constant fear. We live in fear of judgment, fear of cancellation, whatever the fuck that is. I'm so glad we don't have to deal with that crap anymore, hopefully. Which is just awful on our children. Imagine growing up the way we did and fear of cancellation. Like, what is that?
It's really this fear that, like, if you make one little mistake, your life is over.
Right.
Oh,
That's crazy.
It's witch hunt. It's
Crazy.
witch hunts on a massive scale that the internet has provided a great tool for witch hunts.
I think they've proven to be empty, though. I think people
I
are
agree.
waking up to that.
I agree.
Morgan Wallen is a great example of that. Who's the biggest music artist in the world besides Taylor Swift? Morgan Wallen. And they tried to cancel him, and he stood his ground, which was honorable. They wanted him to apologize.
Jay Bhattacharya from the NIH. He's going to be head of the NIH. He was a Stanford doctor, Stanford economist. Was canceled for saying, hey, we did the test in the Bay Area and COVID's been here since 2019 and 3% of the population has it and we're going to have herd immunity. He got canceled for that. And now he's going to be head of the NIH.
Yeah. So this things are changing, but that fear doesn't go away. See,
No,
the society can change and be more reasonable, but the fear is still there. If you notice teenage kids, I notice it, they never take family pictures. They'll put their hand in front of their face, or they'll put their hand over their mouth, or they'll do something, or they'll look away, because kids will go troll your parents' social media accounts to find an embarrassing picture of you and post it. So, like,
wow.
And what I'm saying is that what Dr. Joe was saying, this goodwill, and I think people are seeking ayahuasca to have some sort of love or connectivity. I think what happened normally in our society until about 10, 15 years ago. I got sober in 1996. People were so kind to me. I didn't have to worry. People were helpful. People were loving. It's not the experience that people are having nowadays. Right?
My husband and I are both have addiction background and are having our first baby. It's concerning. We don't want our kids to go through that life. Is there anything we can do to prevent it for us?
Well, the good news is, doesn't matter if it's one or two, you have a 50-50 shot. So that's, because people always say, oh, two addicts are going to make 100% baby. It's not true. It's a 50-50 shot, whether it's one parent or both parents are addicts. So, and what's wrong with being an addict? My older son said this, he was suffering, going through his trials and tribulations. All my friends are sober. We're all trying to help him. And he said, Dad, have a little faith. I'll figure it out. You and John, and he named all the people that love him and care about him. Said, you all figured it out. Give me the dignity, or whatever it is that millennials say, of figuring it out. Right. And he did. And he's 3.5 years sober now. But, you have to have a little faith.
Go ahead, Dr. Joe.
I would tell Jess, hold your baby when they're crying. That old Dr. Spock nonsense, let your baby cry and work it out themselves. Come on, man, don't do that. Be consistent with your care. Be loving, soft, and gentle, and be constant. Be a constant gardener for your children's frontal lobes, and make them happy and proud of themselves no matter what. And then at 5 years old, let them go into the herd they go, and they'll be ready. And she's a nurse as well. So easy on the codependency. Let them make mistakes. Let them fall down. Let them let your husband do some of the work too.
Doctor, so you guys, when someone takes this test, and then they get a result, what is the next thing that they should do? Or let's say I give this test to my child and I see he's a 17. What action should I take? What can I learn from that?
Well, 17, if they're pegging, let's just say that they're high in the middle. Yeah. I mean, I would look at all the risk factors. Addiction's multifaceted. I would look at, any potential future trauma that we can avoid, diet and nutrition, secondarily, and awareness. Make sure that somebody goes with them, because if you give a child some knowledge about this, and it depends on how they perceive it, they could take it and run with it and go, you know what? Oh my God, I'm susceptible to this. So I only need to just take a little bit. And, you know, they'll come up with their own plan. So there's other roads, there's other pathways to addiction and risk factors that we also have to keep considered. So if Taylor, go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to say, what's so interesting is you're talking about those other risk factors. Is I remember even, you know, before I was really in the heart of my addiction, I would drink 6 Dr. Peppers a day. Like long before I was ever super addicted to, you know, smoking or drinking as much as possible, I was for sure highly addicted to sugar. I mean, also my dad and my grandfather were alcoholics, and, you know, my dad got sober 3 years before he passed. So I was 13. So I had been raised my entire life in that kind of alcoholic, dysfunctional home. His father as well. So those risks, you know, the environmental ones, but I wonder how conditioned I was to taking a substance that made me feel good by just soda and sugar. I don't know. Is that something that
you're highly addictive?
Right.
Yeah, very addictive.
Yeah. I mean, so you had one at 8, 10, 12, 2, 4, and 6. Did you live in Texas all that time?
No, I lived in Virginia.
But one thing
that's the gateway drug.
The mistake we've made with millennials is this co-childhood, this curated childhood, I call it. I watched it, where the parents are curating. When you have a predisposed kid, you've got to steer them. You've got to speak for them and push them in the right direction. You can't just be their best friend, and also the curation. So you want them to be good at sports and good at music and have a lot of friends and be an A student and all this. It's all this narcissism coming from the parents. And with an addict kid, you got to find what they're passionate about and support that, whether it's soccer or music or whatever, and support that, because like with your CrossFit, Taylor, it will take on a life of its own, and that will lead the person. Doesn't matter if it's a little obsessive, doesn't matter. It's way better than smoking pots behind the 7-Eleven waiting to do some, you know, petty crime, which is another way the genes will express themselves if the kid doesn't find a passion and a purpose, right? And I think all too often I see parents just trying to make their kids great at everything. No, find what they're passionate about and they will become great at it, and support it, right? Do you understand what I'm saying? There's too much of wanting your kid to excel at everything. Some of my kids are B, C students. One's an A student. One loves piano. One loves sports. You got to find what your kid loves and support it, not expect them to be great at everything so you can brag on Christmas.
This is a good question. Are Taylor results different now, 10 plus years sober, as opposed to if he took the test 10 years ago?
No.
Great question.
Okay.
It won't change.
It won't change. It's locked in. It was locked in when the sperm hit the egg. Is that not true, Dr. Joe? And here's the interesting thing. If it hit the next day, it would be different. But when it hits, that's who you are.
I have a question for Taylor. So let's just say there was a CrossFit gene. I tried to do, and Sarah tried to get me into CrossFit about 10 years ago. I loved it. I loved the rush and I loved the competition. I think I was too old for the class I was in, but then there were people that were a lot older than me. And but I loved it and had a great engagement in the beginning, but it was killing me. It was, my joints were wearing down. So there's genetic markers for joints. There's genetic markers for viscosity of the joints. You understand that led me to avoid CrossFit.
I would also argue that you probably could use better coaching. Maybe an affiliate that scaled the workouts correctly for where you were at. But I get what you're saying.
Nice, Taylor. Taylor Self 2025 CrossFit Games. Fuck the haters. There you go.
Sorry, man.
Go ahead.
I love CrossFit.
There was something in here. All right. Well, while I look for it. So anyone can take this test. They can go for DNA for addiction. They can get the swab. They send it in. But what do they do? That's what I'm really concerned about is like, so they see that number and they shouldn't they need to talk to someone to help them. And right. They need like a session with a doctor or a counselor to be like, this is what these markers mean. Like, don't think just because you're a 6, you won't be addicted to anything, or just because you're a 25, you're doomed for sucking cock for crack.
Yeah, we need to have them follow up with their primary care physician or seek counselors or outpatient programs. It depends on the situation, right? With children, it's more like, now you have the information. Be aware every time your child interacts with the medical community or the dental community, particularly the dental community these days. Like, it seems like we're doing better at the medical community, Dr. Joe, like making doctors aware of prescribing. The dentists are not getting that message. I can tell you that.
Can I take this test and then just go to Kaiser and be like, hey, I took this test. Do you have any advice for me? Or it has to be a specialist, some sort of specialist who knows what's going on here?
You'd have to see a addiction specialist, I would think.
Yeah,
What if I don't live? What if I don't live next to Dr. DeSanto? Can I still make an appointment with your clinic, Dr. DeSanto?
You absolutely could. DeSanto Clinics in Huntington Beach.
Okay, so anyone could take this test and then make an appointment with you, and you could do a Zoom call with them and be like, hey, what's going on? Let's look at your numbers.
Actually would be perfect for a Zoom call. We could look at the numbers. We could do just a general profile of how what's going on in the house, how the child was raised, any dietary concerns, any other medical problems, and then recommend another specialist if need be.
Here's an interesting thing. It's like a lot of times you want to do the 100% way, and then you can't figure out how to do it in this medical profession system, this healthcare system we have. One of the things that happened to me is I was getting sick all the time when I was in 2004. So I was like 43 or something, getting sick a lot. A friend of mine had a nurse that worked with him, and she was a nutritionist, and she came over to my house and she went through my cupboards in my refrigerator, right? And she just told me, you love sugar. And I thought I was eating healthy, right? I'm juicing. I got granola, yogurt, and granola. And she's like, "This is all sugar. It may come from nature, but it's all sugar." And she said, "There's no difference between this granola and sugar cornflakes. There's no difference." And she enlightened me in just one afternoon of how I eat and what I look like, how I deal with my health. And she said, "Don't eat processed food. Just make that rule. All layman, anybody can do that. I'm not going to eat processed food." So that means you can't duck into Del Taco. You can't go here. You can't go into 7-Eleven. You can't get a hot dog. You now have to think about how and what I'm going to eat. It's just a simple rule that makes many other rules for yourself. So it's fruits and vegetables,
Good foundation.
And supplements, and I started taking tons of supplements. It's very simple. You don't have to have a guide. You don't have to have a nutritionist. Don't eat processed food. And of course you can't avoid it at a certain point, but if you're consciously in our society trying to not eat processed food, it forces you to eat better and to think about what you eat. Does that make sense to everybody?
100%. 100%. If you're not eating processed foods, you're eating whole foods, probably your sugar intake's going to plummet. And let me tell you, I also think that before you give yourself any psychiatric evaluation, if you don't have your diet in check and you haven't put down your cell phone, then we don't even have a baseline to start in. If you're a scroller and you have mental health issues and you don't put your phone down, you don't really care. You don't really care about fixing the problem,
right?
Especially in young people.
So a lot of this stuff is we could do it anyways. Even if you were a 12 or a light or whatever, people should be thinking about what they eat. They should be thinking about how they interact with the world and how they care and how they raise their children. And too often we just look for, kind of reinforcement for something we're doing that's not very good. We look for reinforcement of it. Number one trauma event that I hear described for 30 years of working in addiction is divorce. My parents got divorced when I was 8. That's the number one thing. And we tell everybody divorce is okay. Children, as long as both parents love the child. No, it's not okay. Obviously. Right?
I agree with you. But especially from the child's perspective, there's no child that wants their parents to get divorced. I mean, obviously there's circumstances.
But it's that
beating the shit out of your
bullshit
mom,
next
but
line, and this coming from somebody who's been divorced and had a child and through divorce. It's that bullshit we tell each other, like, as long as both parents are respectful of one another in front of the child and love the child and the child knows their love, that's bullshit. You're just lying to yourself. Try to go to marriage therapy. Try to get through it. Try to have a deeper relationship. Things change. It's not always like when you got married. But we have these high expectations and low threshold for pain in America. Right?
How about people who say that there's bullying going on the internet when really it's just self-bullying? Because all you have to do is put your phone down.
I get crucified all the time. Try to find my social media accounts. You've asked me. I don't have them.
But the second you turn off your phone, it all goes away. And so it's almost like
it goes
people
away,
are glutton for punishment by looking at social media. It's like, hey, dude, that's not you're blaming other people for something you can be responsible for.
How about this? Somebody hacked my old Instagram account and they were putting a bunch of crazy shit on there, and everybody's telling me you got to do something. I was like, I don't care. I don't care. If that's what the world is, some fucking idiots on the internet, I don't care. I got 3 kids. I got a business. I got friends. I got family. I got 20 years left on this planet. Fuck the internet.
Right.
Except for podcasts.
I got off Facebook in 2021, right in the middle of when another 40-year-old man said, "That's it, you're canceled." And I went, "Oh, okay, I got to get the fuck out of here."
And and it's true. You don't have to live the social norms that are of the day, right? You can make your own decisions in life. And that's what sobriety is. That's what knowledge is, empowerment, better decision making. I got to bring my daughter to school.
All right. Thank you, Bob.
I love you guys. Thanks for having us. Taylor, don't drink.
I won't. Thank you.
Dr. Joe, before you go, I want to be very clear. So anyone can take this test. It's easy, right?
Anyone can take the test. It's swab, mail it in, get the results.
And then, but you do need to follow up to get to get the most out of it, right?
Correct.
Okay. What and then my last question. And by the way, you can get them for DNA for Addiction. I pulled the website up, and this is Sarah Cox's company, and she has reduced the price to $199 for the duration of this show. Does phone addiction also fall under addiction? So like for someone who's always like these people who are addicted to their phone, like Taylor has supplemented his drug addiction with phone addiction. Does that? And flipping people off.
It's that's called a process addiction, a non-substance addiction, and it's handled by a certain it's a perseverating re-entrant kind of OCD it's compulsive, it's obsessive, and it's hypervigilant, so it could lead to other types of mental illness, but it's handled pretty seriously in a couple of centers around the country.
Taylor, are you surprised your score's so low? You feel like a loser?
No, I'm not surprised. I mean, it makes sense. Me getting I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like I got a grip on it at a young age. I feel like, I had a lot of help and intervention, but I mean, it doesn't surprise me because like you said, I know people a fuck ton of people where it's like, dude, how have you not gotten it yet? What the fuck is wrong with you? You just keep running your dick into the dirt. What are you doing? So, and I wasn't like that. It took me a handful of really fucking huge things. And for whatever reason, I was like, holy shit, if I don't get help, the rest of my life I could see, like, if I don't get help, the rest of I'm not going to have a life. I'm going to die. I'll be in jail. I'll be a fucking deadbeat, whatever. And for whatever reason, that was enough for me. And it makes sense that there are people where it's like, hey, maybe nothing on this earth will ever be enough. And it's sad to say, but a lot of people will just never get sober.
It's true. The percentage of people in this country that need help, in this world, but this country particularly, that need help, that aren't even able to get to it is astronomical. I hope that shrinks. But getting to what Taylor said, the gene for God getting someone's attention. Okay, so God taps some people on the shoulder, gets their attention, they turn around, they listen. God's got to make huge explosions in some people's lives to get their attention. And sometimes that explosion kills them, but most of the time it doesn't. And for Taylor, thank God your explosion happened at a young age, because you've got what potentially could be an incredible life. And I still think you got some damn good frontal lobes. You should get those scanned.
Thank you. Hey, fuck you, Hiller. Your score's not going to be higher than mine, you pussy.
We're Dr. DeSanto. We're going to do Andrew Hiller next. Andrew is very, very clean, except for his addiction to TRT
and masturbation.
And masturbation. And we have Andrew. Andrew was kind enough to share his results too. Hey, what does it say about these guys that they're willing to come on here? Any thoughts on the psych eval on that they're willing to come on here and just let it all hang? Are these just young men who've had great turnarounds who are extremely confident now, or like someone like Taylor? like why would he come on? Why would he come on here and share the story? Or let us look at his numbers.
Because we're all exhibitionists and all voyeurs, and we want to appeal to each other. We're all somewhat narcissistic, in especially addicts and alcoholics. They love. That's why some of us love meetings and some of us don't love meetings. Some of us love to talk about ourselves, and some of us don't.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the show. We'll have you back on shortly as we pull more and more people's scores up. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And the name of your clinic is...
Speaking of narcissism, DeSanto Clinics.
DeSanto's Clinics, yes. Okay, and that's in Huntington Beach. We'll put the are you okay with us putting the phone number or a link to your website in the show notes?
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll absolutely do that. All right, brother. Thanks a lot, and have a good day. And we'll be talking to you soon with our next victim.
All right.
Cheers. Thank you. You're a fake addict.
Fuck you.
Fucking 8.
I fucking knew that was gonna happen, dude.
I know you're disappointed how you wanted to pay that.
Oh God, the sad part. Yeah. Okay.
You wanted a 25, dude. I'm an overachiever. I need a 25.
I'm good with it.
Hey, what do you think about this is totally off subject. What do you think about, speaking of egos, what do you think about the media trying to pit Trump against Elon? Are you seeing them do that?
Are they really? How?
Yeah, basically the whole left-wing media complex is saying that Trump is that Elon's running the country.
Oh, I saw that that purple-haired bitch fucking scream with her fucking Cushing's disease, screaming about it on her fucking DOS. I don't know.
What's scary is Trump might bite at that. He's capable of like
No, he's got so many people around him who are like, listen, at this point, his son, I mean, dude, they have so many people around him who are like, listen, fucktard. And not
dude, he bid on Kamala's shit in the debate. He didn't have to bite on any of that.
Right, but he was on stage by himself. He's got enough people around him right now.
Fair enough.
And everything I've heard about him from people now is that he asks everyone their opinion on everything that's around him. Like he asks, hey, what's your opinion? What's your opinion? So I don't know. I think he's probably okay. I haven't pulled my ass out of my head out of my ass for like this entire week. Today is like the first day I've spent a couple hours working on something other than moving and building a fence in a week. And I'm not exaggerating.
Is your fitness waning? Are you screwed for Saturday?
It's either waning. I also ingested probably a half gallon of paint yesterday because I used a spray gun in a tight enclosure without a mask.
Oh my God, dude. Are you retarded? Does Lizzie know you did that?
Yeah. I was rushing, man. Chill. That's why my voice sounds deeper, maybe. I'm either fucked and my fitness is fucked, or I'm going to be so caged up to fucking rape myself into oblivion that no one stands a chance. So there's that.
What about, and there are also reports that Biden's toast now. Have you heard that? That he's just completely gone off the deep end. What about Harrison Biden coming back to White House last night? 25th Amendment?
Because all of the fucking pardons and asylum, like he is doing some shit that's like, wow, he cannot be in control. They're just fucking shoving papers in front of this fucktard to sign, and he's signing. Yeah, this is also get on fucking. Come on, dude, be consistent.
Someone says don't wear a mask, and now he's saying Taylor's retarded for not wearing a mask. Make up your mind. No, I'm saying Lizzie's a bad mate. She should fucking go in there and force him to wear it.
She wasn't home, to be fair for her. I made such a fucking mess with that paint gun.
Why didn't you buy a mask? Were you being cheap?
I was thinking about it. No, I wasn't being cheap because I went and bought a $200 fucking paint sprayer. I was just like in a rush. I was like, I should probably get a mask. I was like, I don't know what aisle they're on, so I'm gonna fucking just send it.
Hey, dude, I was I want to treat my fence with like the fence that surrounds my house. Should I get a paint sprayer for that?
Dude, we are gonna. You probably can't see outside. We're gonna paint our fence, and all I was doing was painting this little utility shed, the inside of it, and I was fucking painting it by hand with the roller. And
that's what I was gonna do.
I got an eighth of the way through, and I was like, "Holy fuck, this is gonna take me 3 weeks to do. How the fuck am I gonna paint the fence?" And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to buy a spray gun. You have to, dude. It is so. I'll send you the one I got, and you can spray stain and latex paint through it. It works really well. But read the directions. I didn't read the directions. I just fucking filled it with paint. And so this fucking piss stream of paint comes out. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm making this mess. I'm spraying it down. Dude, I was in such a rush, freaking out. It's just been a very stressful week. Yeah, let me send this spray gun to you.
God, I'll be excited. Did you see the video I made yesterday about Craig Ritchie?
I'm gonna go back and watch it. I saw it on YouTube.
Dude, it's so funny. You have to see it. It's so fucking funny.
Fuck Craig Ritchie. Okay, I'm texting.
It is so funny.
Dude, we moved out all of our shit yesterday, and Lizzie texted me during this show and is like, "Do you know where our 3-drawer storage bin is?" And I was like, "You mean the one from our bathroom closet?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh, I think I forgot it." She was like, "I forgot it too." And I was like, "Oh." And she's like, "Yeah, I left a jar of $700 in it." So she's freaking out, texting me like, "How do I get back into the house?" I sent her.
Did you get it?
Yeah, she got it. But boy, was I tripping.
Hey, tell me about this paint gun. How much is it?
It's $230.
What about cleaning it? Is that a pain in the ass?
All I did to clean it, and I didn't read the directions, but I assumed it worked, is after I was done, you probably need to find a spot. What I did was I found a spot to hose the bin out and then pour it off, not into the environment, of course, like a nice, safe place to dispose it. And then I filled it up with water and sprayed until it was clean water coming out. It's corded, so you had to get an extension cord.
How often do you have to refill it when you're using it?
It'll hold like fucking 2 or 3 gallons, maybe.
Could I do like 50 feet of fence?
Oh, I think easily, yeah.
Because doesn't that sound like a pain in the ass to have to keep stopping and refill it? That's why.
Yes, but it's not as much of a pain in the ass. If you could imagine going down it hand by hand, dude, that would take fucking forever.
Emily Beers just posted an article about Kill Taylor and how it's the best show on the internet. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Oh, Jared.
You can rent. That's a good call.
Oh, see, God. If I had thought ahead, like my mom, Jared. Fuck
no,
you.
That's a good call.
Listen, Jared, Jared, can you come on Christmas? I was thinking, God, I meant to.
He came and worked out at Charlotte last week. I don't even remember what day it was. Oh, it was Monday. It was this week.
He's shredded.
Dude, he's ripped up. Great guy.
Hey, Jared, what do you think about coming on the show maybe on Christmas? You're probably busy doing other Jesus stuff, but I was thinking we could do a little Jesus segment, like a little history of Christmas. What is Christmas? What is Easter for people like me who don't know the difference? That'd be awesome. Yeah, we could even do a Christmas prayer.
What do they celebrate in Armenia?
Let's text. I don't think for some reason Christmas in Armenia is on January 6th or something. Anyway, Jared, I'd love to have you on sometime during the holidays and talk about Christmas. I cannot come on Christmas Day. I knew it. He's tending to his flock. Can you imagine what an asshole I am? I'm asking a guy who has his own flock if he can come on and tend to my flock. Fuck your flock. Come deal with my flock. Okay. Maybe the day after Christmas. I don't know what some people are so weird about Christmas. I mean, not him, obviously. I'm not picking on him. But like when I asked you if we could do Kill Taylor, you're like, yeah, right after we open the presents and I eat breakfast.
I mean, there's a lot of tradition that goes on. Like, it's such an interesting, like, being married to Lizzie, like, her family has so many traditions. And I mean, maybe it's because, like, you know, my dad's dead and all these other fucked up things, but we don't have any really, not like a lot of tradition there. So like for me, like those things just aren't that important, but for her, they're like, hey, we are not missing this. And I'm like, all right, got it. But so I understand, but
Matt Burns off to do Sentinel training. Have a great day. All love. Hey, isn't what did he say? He said Sentinel events. Did you hear that line he dropped in there?
I heard it. I heard
people
it.
Who've had a lot of Sentinel events. I was like, wow.
It's also crazy what someone told me, or was it you? Maybe someone told me that the newspaper Greg was working at when he began CrossFit or writing in the journal or something was called the Santa Cruz Sentinel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Heidi, no, not that. Heidi, my dad is dead too. All right, thank you.
Oh, that's why she has those issues.
DDC, Dead Dad Club. All right.
So,
hey, doesn't Seema look like Hattie
Dark
Canyo
Dick Club? Seema look like what?
Doesn't she look like Hattie Canyo there? That's
in that picture? Yeah, a little bit. Is that? Oh, I didn't realize that was better boobs than Beth. That's the new Seema.
Oh. Yeah, and then Judy says you can make new traditions with Lizzie.
We are.
You guys are buying your first ornaments together, and then
dude. Let me show you this one.
Writing the date on the back of them.
Hold on.
Holy shit!
Look at this.
Look what Heidi brought. Oh, that's amazing.
This is the Christmas gift Bryson's mom got me for Christmas.
God, that's amazing. God bless Bryson's mom. Hey, look what Heidi said. Taylor, don't you remember when you said if I was Heidi's dad, I'd kill myself too?
Yeah, I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad at all. Oh, that's hilarious that I said
I would never say that about Craig Ritchie. That's too mean.
Oh, wait, Craig Ritchie's dad's dead?
No, I have no idea, but even like...
Fuck. It wouldn't surprise me. I don't know. He strikes me more as like a mommy issue guy. All right, I got to dip out. I have so much shit to move and do.
All right.
See you in the morning. I'm going to do it here, actually.
It's $3,000.
Yeah, I'm going to murk the fuck out of myself.
Is Bryson coming?
No, he's out of town.
Don't let anyone win tomorrow, dude. I don't like make it like eating dirt.
Eating dirt.
Then, dude, then we could do $4,000 on Christmas morning. Wouldn't that be fucking crazy?
Yeah, that'd be sick. Okay.
Yeah, whatever. I don't even care. Throwing a shovel as far as you can. I don't give a fuck. Like, just don't let anyone win tomorrow. Is that tomorrow?
That's tomorrow, 10 a.m. 11 a.m. Sorry, 11 a.m.
All right. All right, dude.
You.
Thanks for doing this. Love you. Bye. All right. Taylor Self. What is this? I don't even know if the phone's hooked up. God, I got to pee so bad already. I wonder why I have to. I didn't feel like myself this morning. It was weird. I normally don't eat in the morning, but this morning I hold on. Sorry, Gabe. Hold on. This morning I had a couple of spoonfuls. My wife makes homemade yogurt. She says it has like some probiotics or something in it that I need. So I had a bunch of yogurt. Not a bunch. I had 2 tablespoons of yogurt this morning. Hey, what's up, dude?
It's because you wore a vest twice this week.
Yeah, I was trying to like look a little more professional with like the doctor and shit. You know what I mean? Doctor and the rock star.
Yeah, it messed up your whole flow.
Oh no, I was flowing. I was good. I was good flowing.
Yeah, I liked the show. It was really interesting.
Yeah, it's cool, right? I want to know
Yeah,
more.
I mean,
I kept wanting to know more though about the what you do with the test.
What do you mean?
Like, so you take the test, right, Gabe? And then you're like, it's on a 0 to 25. And I just wanted them to be like I wanted them just to give me a 15 minutes, just vomit about Taylor's situation, go through each marker, be like, this is this and this. And like, maybe I had expectations, but I just wanted to be like, okay, you shouldn't drink. You should tell the doctor that you should never take Vicodin. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, something like that. Like just something like really,
like give you protocol as to like how to proceed after you get your
you should never try
your
anal
meeting.
sex. People, you could become addicted to that. Just something.
Receiving or taking?
Like either. Oh yeah,
Almost.
yeah. Maybe it's like, hey, you should only be a receiver.
So tomorrow, what are we doing tomorrow? What time is Kill Taylor tomorrow?
That's a good question. I assume 8 a.m.
I hope.
Let me send a text right now.
Got to figure out when to make the next sale go live. By the way, all our orders should be out. All of them are out. If for whatever reason you have an email or your tracking number doesn't work, we ship that out expedited. So if your tracking number doesn't work, the system is updating with a new tracking number. So all the orders are getting in tomorrow, latest Monday. So I made -$0, like -$100 this holiday season.
Oh, congratulations! That's awesome. Give.
I know. It's a lot less. It's a lesser deficit than it was last year, but more orders. So I'm really excited.
Hey, yeah, and I had a great day yesterday too. I lost 82 subscribers on my YouTube channel. I really told my wife I was shooting for 500.
Why? What happened? Nothing you put out yesterday seemed very.
Yesterday
incendiary?
Yesterday was one of the best videos I've ever made. It really bums me out that more people didn't appreciate it. I thought it was so funny. In the 3,000 shows I've done, I think I've gone back and watched 2. One because I was having a repeat guest, and then yesterday's show I listened to back when my wife was listening to it, and I was fucking laughing my ass off. It is so funny. It is. It just bums me out. It bums me out that people don't see the humor in it. You know what it reminds me of? The Breonna Taylor situation when people are like, remember her name, and like because Greg forgot that.
Breonna Taylor.
Because
Can you remind me who that was?
No, I can't. Someone who was shot or something. But I just remember seeing that on the internet. Anyway, sorry, I digress. So tomorrow there'll be a special deal at 8 a.m.
Yeah, I had a question. What do you think? Do you think he obviously doesn't watch, right?
Who?
So, Craig.
Oh, Richie, right.
Yeah, he doesn't watch the show. So how did it go? Like, what do you think the trickle-down effect was from this one viewer going all the way down to Craig and being, letting him know, like, hey, make a video on this? Or does he watch? Does he a subscriber?
Here's the whole story. And, I wouldn't bet my life on it, but here's the whole story. I had Greg on the show, and we were laughing at what Carolyn Lambre said about what have the affiliates done for athletes. And so as a joke, he said, yeah, I'd canceled the games for 5 years. And he didn't know Lazar's name wasn't on the tip of his tongue. Why would it be? And then he didn't know what country he's from. Who cares? Like, no one's ever said my name right, and no one who cares? It's like so. It's so I'm unable to empathize why someone's name or country of origin needs to be known, or why. Let me replace that. Why anyone would think that that's disrespectful? That's pretty crazy. If you think it's disrespectful, someone doesn't know your name or country of origin. But anyway, so he made that, and then someone took that clip and made it look like on Reddit that Greg was laughing at Lazar's death, and that's absolutely insane because you can just go to YouTube and you can play the clip where Greg does actually talk about Lazar's death. And you can see that you can see this. Actually, I have it here. Someone sent it to me yesterday. Check this out. I don't know if you can hear this.
Do a lot of that. I mean,
can you hear this, Gabe?
Of course he is. Yeah. I knew he would be. I knew he was ill prepared for this because nobody is.
Yeah.
There's no amount of kicking indoors, killing terrorists that's going to prepare you for someone drowning while you're watching. Community will survive it. I remember once watching a client.
And so, and he goes on, and so basically Craig took that out of context and played it and got all spun up. So then I responded, and then people took my video like it was serious. Like I was making fun of Craig because he said Lazar Jukic's name wrong twice, and people thought that like I actually cared that he said his name wrong. Or it's just bizarre. It's just bizarre. There's a video I have of Greg that's not about the Lazar situation at all. And people in the comments are writing, it's disgusting what he says about Lazar in this video because they're just on autopilot. Do you know what I mean? There were like 20. I've had to remove them all because they're just going, do you get what I'm saying? There's a video of Greg on my site where it's not about the games or Lazar at all. And people are writing, this guy, it's disgusting what this guy said about Lazar in this video. And it's like, oh, you didn't even watch the video. You just came over. You're just spewing hate. But
yeah, it's interesting then. So he got the clip from Reddit.
He got the clip. He got the clip from Reddit.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, well, what do we do scouring Reddit?
Dude?
You can go from extreme left to extreme right in a matter of milliseconds on Reddit. So what are you doing getting any type of information from there? Like, I get it, messing around and just, fucking around on Reddit, because it's Reddit, it's not 4chan. By God, all means it's not 4chan. But if that's where you're getting a clip from, you need to, it's not that it's disgusting, it's just not credible to an extent. Like you're going into the context of anything that he's doing with the presupposition that he doesn't have all of the context. So you need to take that into consideration. And his followers and subscribers now have this horrible misconception without getting that full detail. And I think it should be addressed and also understood, hey man, just listen to the whole thing. And if you don't want to listen to the whole thing, you be very cautious and careful. Again, I think we've always had the conversation of, I'm cool with you saying whatever you want. Like, we live in the fucking greatest country on earth where I can say whatever I want and I can have the best opinion or the worst opinion on something, but I'm still able to say it. Like, he's not allowed to do that. He's stuck in this fucking bubble. He can't say what he wants. And even if he says what he wants, he has to be careful. And this whole situation is stupid.
I'm going to tell you, last night I went to bed feeling a little guilty for how much fun I'm having. It's just so much fodder and content. It does bum me out that some people can't enjoy it as much as I am. But
it's a back and forth, right? We talked about hey, it's ping pong. I hit the ball back to you. Now it's your turn. I think about John Woolley is playing the game of ping pong with you. That's what happened, right? You hit it toward him, he hit it back to you, and you guys are going back and forth. Okay, that's cool. Rule set might be a little bit off, but some people get it, some people don't. And it's interesting to see those relationships. And it's weird. And it's weird how it portrays. I've seen the guy in person a few times. We've had zero interaction, but 99 of the 100 times I've seen him in person, Craig, I'm like, dude, I don't want to be around that. I feel like a fucking gray cloud is just hovering over him 24/7.
Well, I think you'll be hard pressed to find anyone who says that they met me in person on the internet and that I wasn't exceptionally nice. And you can very easily find out tons of people on the internet who said that they met Richie and he's a fucking dismissive douche. Listen, so here's the problem. So here's the problem. And maybe it's my fault. I didn't do a good job of expressing it, but it was a comedy bit. And Clock writes, well, you harped on Richie's mispronunciation of Lazar's name a half dozen times. Yeah, dude, that is the joke. The joke is that the whole premise, and I explained it in the video, Clock, the whole premise of Richie's video or being upset at Greg is that Greg didn't say his name. I don't care if anyone says anyone's name right or wrong. If you didn't catch the fact that I was driving home the irony of that, and you think that I actually cared that he mispronounced his name, I'm gonna say you're 72 IQ or got a little Asperger's.
You have to grab onto something, right? That's what everyone's grabbing onto.
Yeah.
So again, now it's their argument now. So it's okay, well, this isn't fun anymore.
Craig Paisley, Jazz is the only good thing about his content. Yeah, and some other people are like, hey, dude, that was uncool to go after his wife. First of all, I didn't go after his wife. I went after his YouTube partner, and he made an entire video about the purchase of her marvelous augmentation. It's completely fair game. It's not like I went and I didn't dig anything up that he hadn't put out there. So
by all means, if I put anything out into the public sphere, you're able to use it. That's how it was in school. You say something stupid, you'd get picked off in a second just by saying the most idiotic or the most off the cuff thing. Even now with my friend group, I say something stupid, I do something sus, it's thrown right back in my face.
yeah.
And I guess that's the difference, right? Like that's where we are back then. That's where we are now. Hopefully things kind of change and that phrase, right? Sticks and stones. Becomes more prudent and true now than before.
I just erased 2 of David Weed's comments. Oh no, I'm erasing a third one. Here we go. Delete. I'm just deleting. Oh shit. I just banned David Weed on accident. Fuck. Was banned and the comments were shit. Sorry, David. I didn't mean to ban.
Undo that.
How do I undo that? I just accidentally banned David. I meant to delete his comment. Oh.
Whenever you're interested, should be able to do it.
Can someone undelete him? I'm just trying to ban all his comments. Fuck. Sorry, David.
Was he saying something awesome or something sus?
No, he's saying I don't. He's trying to throw in my face. I don't care about the comments. Other than the fact the whole show is driven by comments. He's misunderstanding what I'm saying. Banning David Weed is gay. I agree. And then he just says anytime someone says he's removing comments, I just remove that comment. Oh, he's back. There he is. Sorry. Now let me see if okay, he's back. Someone unbanned him. Thank you. Jesus Christ.
Oh man. Okay, yeah. So the offer. So we got a new coffee that's coming out. It'll just go live for that 1 hour. It'll be free. So you buy a coffee and we'll just throw this new coffee in there.
Wow, that's
a little bit
tomorrow
more
during the show. Tomorrow during the show.
Yep. So for that 1 hour, that'll go live. Still got to figure out what we're gonna do for Christmas. You gotta let me know when we go live for that.
Yeah. I'm starting to think that maybe Taylor doesn't want to do it. I have to feel him out a little more. He seemed to. Didn't he seem a little melancholy today, off his game?
I mean, he did inhale probably like 69,000 gallons of paint yesterday, so maybe something was up.
You know what happens is I right click to delete his comment, and then if someone else comments, it scrolls up, and when I click, I'm just trying to delete every one of David's comments.
What's the biggest pot that Kill Taylor's ever been?
I think this week is going to be tied with the biggest pot. $3,000 tomorrow, and then on top of that, if you order coffee from Paper Street Coffee, you get a free coffee. I think that'll be the biggest pot. I don't think it's ever been $3,500. Does anyone know?
Because if no one wins tomorrow, it goes up to $4,000 and a $4,000 Christmas.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's great, right?
That would be amazing.
Damn.
Unless he does it at home and it's like some shitty workout.
Stand by 1 second, Gabe. Censorship is hard douche canoe job. Oh, I'm not sure I know what you're saying, but I was about to fucking tear you up.
I think they're just making fun of you.
All right, hold on. Dave killed Lazar. Delete comment. I'm talking to Gabe, holding back a fucking 3 gallons of urine and deleting comments.
Dave killed Lazar.
Hey, I got this morning. My dog was crying because it's dying. So at 4 a.m, it was crying, and so I got up and I wanted to drink a cup of Paper Street Coffee so fucking bad, but I didn't. I showed a little restraint. I pet the dog, walked it outside, came back inside, tried to go back to sleep, and was just thinking about drinking a cup of coffee for fucking 2 hours.
Dude,
that's how good.
Every morning.
Mm-hmm.
I have to make coffee now because obviously baby wakes up every 69 seconds and I'm just zombie mode. But as of weaning down on my coffee intake, I think
you cut out there. You what on your coffee intake? You cut out you what on your coffee intake?
I'm gonna start weaning down, like kind of weaning back a little bit and not drinking as much. I go like 3 cups now. Ever since I had the baby, I started drinking the most coffee I ever drank in my life. And it's, I don't know, man. I think my adrenals need a break right now. I'm not drinking coffee, but I think I need to change something up a little bit. Drink less coffee.
I'm drinking a shot of espresso in the morning, Paper Street espresso. Then about an hour after that, I drink a cup of espresso diluted in a pint of water. And then I don't have another cup of coffee unless I do a podcast at night. But even when I do a podcast at night, I drink a cup of coffee, a shot of espresso, Americano. And it doesn't keep me up. I'm good. I burn it all off during the show.
What if I tell you that in theory, drinking espresso has the least caffeine out of all drinks?
Oh, really?
Also, man, you have water that just goes through the puck really, really quick.
Yeah.
Like the quicker it is, the quicker your coffee takes to brew, the least amount of caffeine it'll have.
Oh, all right. I wonder.
So in theory, I know everyone's going to say something different, blah, 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 blah. Like, just hush. It's true.
All right. Hey,
so that's
you said none of your stores, or will any of your stores be open on New Year's?
No, they won't be open on New Year's. I know we discussed this, but no, I don't want.
We discussed Christmas,
but
don't you want
to work on New Year's?
But don't you need to be open on New Year's, because on New Year's Eve people will be out drinking all night, and then on New Year's morning they'll want to go in for a cup of coffee?
Yes, but at the same time, I hated when I used to work like at Best Buy or the movie theaters, when I had to work the night before, like New Year's Eve, and then I had to open the next day. I hated that. So I would never do that to any of my employees. I want them to enjoy time with their family. If they want to do something, they can do it. Maybe I'm not the best capitalist, but I would feel some type of way if that was the case. If I made them work Christmas Day, New Year's Day, or if I make them work Black Friday until late, I would never do that.
You're a good dude.
Dude, for Black Friday, I had a girl scheduled to open at 5:30, and at the night before, I called her and I said, no, just open up at 8. What are we doing here?
I would listen, if you are a young man and you work for Gabe, ask Gabe if you can keep the store open on Christmas and on New Year's Eve and on New Year's Day, because that's a great time to meet a lot of girls who will be dressed very nice, running in and out of coffee shops, going to parties. Thank you.
If any of my people want to open those days, they can open, and any revenue they want, they can keep.
Dude, you'll make a killing if you work for Gabe and you don't take him up on that. I'm telling you, you'll make a fucking killing. Do it. People will be tipping. Drunk motherfuckers be coming there tipping. All right.
Oh, 100%, dude. And they order coffee and all that stuff. Next time I call in, I got to tell you about the story about me pooping my pants the other day.
Okay, good. On that note, thank you.
All right.
I'll talk to you tomorrow. Yeah, thank you for your support for Kill Taylor. Thank you. Bye.
Love you guys. Bye.
Love you guys. Bye. Okay. Gabe Maldonado. I have to pee so fucking bad. There's something I wanted to share with you guys. Thank you. What did I want to share with you guys? I have to pee. I got to do a podcast at 10 anyway. I need to chill out. Hey, I want you to think very clearly about this, okay? Listen to me very, very clearly. A man who was the best swimmer in the field of the 80 fittest human beings in the world, who had tested the workout 2 days prior, drowned during the event. What do you think killed him? I've told you before, and I'm going to tell you again, 99% of all adult swimming deaths are one reason. The other 1% are just fucking shark bites. That's not true, Sevi. Put that up on Reddit. He said 99. He said 1% of all the. That's not true. Shut the fuck up, please. And very soon, very, very soon, and it's not lost on me that someone's death is a very, very sensitive issue and that people are very emotionally wound up. And that people who don't have a lot of depth in their life and rich lives and a lot of strong appreciation for being alive are very sensitive to it. People who don't have kids, people who haven't experienced a lot of death in their family, people who haven't gone through hardship, they're the most sensitive about that shit, right? People who live their life on the internet. It's not lost on me. I'm not like these are fucking horrible people who still can't enjoy their enjoy their lives. But just remember, just think for a second. What if it would have been Danielle Brandon who drowned, or Ariel Lowen, or I don't know. Just pick someone else. But this was the strongest swimmer in the field of 80 of the fittest people. And there's more to this story. Muscle failure. Who said that? Did someone say that? Muscle failure. You can't float on your back while you're having a heart attack. Love you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.